Welcome to Fable Sonder, where every story inspires and connects. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to support us. Now let's dive into today's tale. Sit back and enjoy.
Fable Sonder, the stories of hidden life.
It had been 6 long months since Simon had been working undercover, living as a homeless man in an effort to investigate his uncle's crimes. But now, with his uncle in prison, it was time for him to return to his old life at the Jones Group. As he prepared to leave, his friend Luis reminded him, "You've done great, but there's one more thing I need you to take care of." Simon nodded, aware that his mission wasn't over just yet. Meanwhile, Victoria was hard at work in the local burger joint, going about her usual routine. "Hey Simon, I brought you your favorite cheeseburger," she said, handing him the food with a smile. Simon appreciated her kindness, especially since she was the only one who had treated him with any decency during his time on the streets. "Thank you so much, Victoria. Honestly, you're the only one who's been nice to me this whole time. You've brought me food and supplies, and I really appreciate it." Victoria smiled softly. "It's nothing, really. Just doing what I can." Before Simon could respond, his phone rang. "Sorry, I have to take this," he said, excusing himself. "Hey, Mom, how are you?" Simon answered, his tone shifting as he listened intently. "Victoria," his mom's voice crackled through the line. "The doctor says Grandma probably won't make it past Christmas. Her biggest wish is to see you in a wedding dress. Is it safe to tell her that we're expecting a wedding this Christmas?" Simon's heart sank. "Yes, don't worry, Carl already proposed, and we're getting our marriage certificate tomorrow." "Everything's fine, Mom. Don't stress about it." His mom sounded relieved. "Oh, that's wonderful. Why don't we have the wedding on Christmas then? I'll start notifying all the relatives. Talk to you soon. Love you." As the conversation ended, Simon turned back to Victoria, who had been waiting patiently. "Sorry about that," he said. "What were you saying?" Victoria hesitated before responding, but then smiled. "Never mind. I heard you're getting married. Congratulations." Simon looked at her, a little taken aback. "Thank you, but it's a bit complicated," he said, knowing he had yet to reveal the full truth about his situation. "I know it's a lot," Victoria said softly, "but it'll be okay." Simon smiled, but his attention quickly turned to the bustling lunch rush at the restaurant. "I've got to get back to work, but thank you for everything, Victoria. Happy holidays." Victoria nodded. "No problem, Simon. Take care." As Simon returned to the counter to take orders, the door opened with a loud jingle. Carl walked in, catching Simon off guard. "Carl, what are you doing here?" Simon asked, clearly surprised. Carl smirked as he approached the counter. "Hey, cousin. Long time no see." Victoria stood frozen, her expression falling as she looked from Simon to Carl. "How could you cheat on me with my cousin?" she demanded, her voice trembling with hurt. Carl shrugged, his face hardening. "There's nothing left to say. You already found out. We're over, Victoria." Victoria's heart shattered. "No, Carl, we're engaged. We're getting our marriage license tomorrow, don't you remember?" she pleaded, her voice rising with desperation. Carl sneered. "Did you really think this cheap, worthless ring was all it took for me to stay faithful? I'm done with you, Victoria. You're just not good enough for me anymore." Simon watched as Carl's words pierced Victoria like daggers. She was visibly shaking, unable to comprehend what was happening. "Carl, we've been together for 3 years. Why would you do this to me? What did I do wrong?" she cried, the tears in her eyes threatening to spill over. Carl's expression turned cold. "You still don't get it, do you? You're stuck in this small town, still working as a waitress, always in those same old clothes, those cowboy boots. I'm not in Texas anymore, and I'm not settling for someone like you." Simon stepped forward, standing protectively between Victoria and Carl. "That's enough around on a mom," he said firmly, his voice steady. "You need to leave." Carl's eyes flashed with anger, but he turned and stormed out, not sparing Victoria another glance. Victoria stood there frozen, her heart in pieces. She looked at Simon, her voice barely a whisper. "What do I do now? My mom and grandma have planned our entire wedding, spent their life savings on it. I can't go back to them and tell them it's off. I can't do that." Simon's heart ached for her, but he had an idea. "Victoria, I think I can help. I know you're going through a tough time right now, and I hate to see you like this. But I think you should marry me. Just temporarily, so your grandma can see you walk down the aisle. That way you won't have to disappoint her." Victoria looked at him stunned. "You would do that for me?" Simon nodded, his expression softening. "I would do anything for you, Victoria." Tears welled up in Victoria's eyes as she looked at Simon, grateful for his offer. "Thank you, Simon. Thank you so much." Simon smiled warmly. "No problem. We just have to do the official paperwork. My mom wants to frame the marriage certificate, but don't worry, we can get it annulled right after the wedding. You can go back to your life and we'll both be free." "Thank you again," Victoria whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You're a really good friend." Later that day, Simon and Victoria stood before a judge, ready to make their arrangement official. The judge asked, "Miss Victoria Barron, are you sure you want to marry this gentleman?" "Are you being coerced?" Victoria answered confidently. "I'm not being coerced. I willingly choose to marry Simon." The judge paused for a moment, then raised an eyebrow. "Wait a second. Simon Jones? The one who died in that crash 6 months ago? The CEO of the Jones Group? The billionaire?" Simon's heart raced as he realized his true identity had been exposed. "No, there's been a mistake. I'm not—" But Victoria interrupted, her expression kind. "Don't worry, Simon. I don't care about your past. All I care about is your kindness and honesty. You don't have to explain anything to me. I trust you." The judge nodded, satisfied. "If that's the case, then I have no more questions." And just like that, they were married. Afterwards, Simon sat quietly, reflecting on the surreal turn his life had taken. "I'm married now. This feels so unreal. I just hope I made the right choice," he thought, feeling a mix of emotions. Victoria entered the room looking a little flustered. "Do you have any body wash?" she asked shyly. "I just bought some, so I'll bring it to you." Simon stood up, surprised. Sure. I'm coming." He walked into the bathroom, but when he saw Victoria, he realized the situation was much more complicated than he had anticipated. She was standing there looking embarrassed, as if she hadn't meant to catch him in that moment. "I didn't see anything. I'm sorry," she stammered, turning her back to him quickly. Simon, still processing everything, smiled to himself. "It's okay. I'm technically your husband, after all." Victoria froze, her heart racing. She had never seen a man like this before. Not like Simon. Her breath caught in her throat as she realized just how much her life was changing. Meanwhile, on the phone with her mother, Victoria's world shifted again. "Hey, Mom," she said, trying to hide her excitement. "Can you hear me? The whole town knows about the wedding. Grandma is thrilled, and she can't wait to see me in my dress." Her mother's voice cracked with joy. "Oh, honey, this is the time for love. He's so handsome. Wait, is this really the same homeless man you picked up off the streets?" Victoria smiled, her heart swelling with affection. "Yes, Mom, it really is." And just like that, Victoria's life, once filled with heartache, was now full of unexpected turns and new beginnings. With Simon by her side, things were about to change in ways she never could have imagined.